All is good on my end, brother.
Good night. Good night.
Vicky, what's going on?
The women's Olympic soccer tournament started.
Yeah, I saw a white, red, and blue team. There's some licks.
Yes, indeed. They did not hand them out. They received them. What was that?
I said you got 3 of the very best.
Yep.
In the group meet.
Yeah, were you satisfied with your starting 11?
I honestly have to go back and look and see. I did not see the game. I only read some reports, and I did not get to see who all of those players are. So it's not my forte to be able to tell you that right now.
All right.
But I understand that that they were pressured very early on from the very beginning, and they weren't allowed to build out of the back as usually is their intention.
Sweden schooled
And this is a formidable team that they've played against in the past. So, what was that?
Sweden always beat them.
No, man. It's always up and down with them, but usually America would score or have some semblance of.
The last time, Sweden tied them last time. Man, they are the wrong coaches. In North Carolina, the best woman coach in America. It's in North Carolina. His name is Paul Riley. Okay? Took 4 different teams in 4 successive years and win a championship. You understand? You don't give him the job because he's very opinionated. He don't listen to nobody. Just do things his own way and get results. Okay?
I don't know too much about him. I mean, I know
Gotta research it.
a lot of people have had their turn, but I don't know much about him.
I worked for him.
You did?
Since 2006. Send the most girls to college, Division 1. When everybody was doing that, when he was doing that, everybody was looking on. He's that good. The best that I've ever seen with any cones and sticks and stuff like that. Best coach ever.
Where's he actually from?
He's from England, from Liverpool. Interviewed for the English job. Before the lady, the prior coach got the job, who won the World Cup. He interviewed at that time also. Didn't get it. I know. He went to New York. He provided and he won with them. He went to Portland. He went to North Carolina. Year after year. Our system works. It works every time.
Well, they have the women's team now have New Zealand and Australia to.
They will bounce back.
What was that?
They will bounce back now.
They will bounce back.
Yeah.
Perhaps. I mean, Australia is not an easy contender. So I don't know about bouncing back.
You might bounce
You know,
out.
nothing is for sure. You know, it's the women's game has gotten better and better every year, and which is good because competition is good for business. You know, and it's good for the growth of the game. So I look forward to good competition. So not that I wished them, you know, a loss, but good competition is good for everybody.
All right, so let's get into it. I had a surprise today, but I guess the surprise is gonna have to come out the hat. Welcome again to everyone to another session of Jabel FC's Read the Game, controlling the opponent's counter attack, presented by theon Garden. It's a paper done by the two gentlemen listed at the bottom there. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act but habit. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act but a habit. So, Sammy,
Mm.
change your habits, or your habits define who you are.
Well, I can't change my habit. A woman like me, and my
You
habits
have,
have to be
you have time.
very successful, so I can't change them.
I'm saying, based on who you want to be, create the habits that you want. So, if you're happy with where you are, then continue.
Very much so.
Correct. Player of the week. Who's that? Who's that?
Ah,
Tell me who.
oh,
Today is his birthday.
is it really? Wow.
Yeah.
But you lost. I want to know how you could play the week. I lost 2 games last week.
Oh, happy birthday.
He's not here yet.
No, I know, but you know, it'll be on. Yeah, that's true. Okay. I'll tell him when he gets here.
So that's our player of the week. But he today is his birthday. I just felt it necessary to compliment him on his birthday.
Man,
But he's
bleed,
not here yet.
bleed.
All right. So on last weekend we actually had a few games. As was mentioned, the juniors and females didn't have any games because of exams. Teams asked us to postpone those games. But in the senior division, these were the games that took place. Um, that System 3 Oria game, System 3 actually fielded an under 17 team to play that game. Oria won that game 1-0. Volcanoes versus Trappings. Volcanoes won that game 5-0. Chelsea did not show up for their game, so Blossom and Volcanoes played. Volcano won that game 2-0. And Jebel versus Predators. That was a senior game as well. Jebel won that game 2-1. Avenues versus System 3. That game ended up 6-6. Cyan Hill versus Glenside. That game ended 2-0. On the local scene, there was a meeting yesterday with the Football Federation expressing some of the plans they have for the rest of the year. One of which is a futsal competition, which would feature the different areas, and they will go into the different areas and play a host of matches. There will be a female segment to it as well as having a 9-a-side female competition start. The senior men's competition, I was told, is supposed to start in October, and System 3 will be hosting their junior competition in the first week of August. Now, I'll open the floor for you guys. What do you think about these games and the games that were just played, that just passed?
Qatar is a team. And this is why they're going to win the competition.
Yeah,
Um, the possession game, the spacing, everything, playing out at the back, everything that we speak about. It doesn't matter, the guy who pulling the strings, it doesn't matter if he's on the right side, he's center midfield or you're up front. They know wherever he is and he has the ball. He's creating chances, he's setting up goals. And they find him all the time. Look at where he is. They don't pressure the ball, they don't pressure the ball.
they play a mid block.
I think the problem with most of the Caribbean teams, right? They're not good defensively, whether it's individual as a team, right? And the players are always out of position. Trinidad, for example, right? Against Mexico, he tried, well, he played, you all call it low block, call it low pressure. He played low pressure. And all that he did, when he get the ball, he just kick it out and give it back to them, right? The second game, he tried to play. And he encountered a lot of problems because the starting position, whether it's defensively or offensively, was out of whack, right? The last game now, low pressure, very organized, keep possession, spacing was good, and the attack as a team. So I like the way he's growing into the game. He's getting to know his team. You understand? And he's getting better as a coach. So we're hoping that, I'm hoping that he's going to get a job. A lot of people criticize him, but I think he's doing just fine, and he's going to grow with his team. So coming back to these games now, Qatar, I mean, look at these 50-50. They don't always ever want to go into those 50-50 tackles, I mean, the game last night, I just think that, the first half, it was a little bit quick for them, and they don't like to play that with that speed, But at the end, they really control everything, I mean, Jamaica. Jamaica. I don't know what to say, man. Jamaica look good, you understand? But they don't have athletes up front. You have athletes up front. They don't have athletes up front. You understand? But it's interesting to see how they get best because the US. I don't think the US have a good team. That team that they have, that's not good enough. You understand? So it's interesting to see exactly what's going to happen with Jamaica and the US. But Qatar is my team.
So, what's your views on Mexico and Honduras, or Canada, Costa Rica?
Mexico. Mexico is Mexico, man. Mexico play. You understand? And Honduras, oh my God, what a team. You understand? Tremendous games. I mean, I'm so proud of CONCACAF. You understand? I am so proud because these guys, they show that they can play. You understand? CFU member associations, what are they going to do? You guys are in charge of, this thing, theon, this coaching education among the CFU and stuff like that. What are you guys going to do to bring back football or bring up football to that standard? Yeah?
Daunting task.
Okay.
Daunting task.
I know. But I just think the member associations, okay, I look at Grenada. What are they going to do over there? They have 11 players or, overseas players. You have to build the core of your team with the local players. They have to go together. There are no shortcuts. these foreign players, they're not good enough to come in 3 days or, a week before and expect to win games against, the top teams. It can't happen. And we just have to grow our local players. The proper training. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science at all. Most of these teams, before you can do anything with system of play, everybody want false nine and all that kind of stuff. If you don't, I want to come right here. If you don't have possession, if you cannot keep the ball, you can't create goals. If you can't create goals, you have a big problem at this level. And this is with our team. Other teams are going to score on us, but we have to be able to create goals. And it's up to the coach. If you have a team and you're a coach, and offensively, you can't play in the final third, you can't have overload in the final third, you have a big problem.
All right. So your opinion. So anybody else? Vicky, Alexander, anybody? Shadell, what's your opinion on the games that you've seen? Any surprises? Anything stand out for you?
I think the team that's supposed to be there is there. Okay, the team that played football, good football, possession, attacking, defending, possession is supposed to be there. I was very much surprised with the US game against Canada. The US scored in 20 seconds, and at one point, the US had like 28 28% of ball, and they were just defending. It made me think of the Italy England a week ago. I like the US because it's only homegrown players. There isn't a player there that actually plays overseas. And it's like what the coach have to do much better if he gonna beat our Caribbean team. Because I looked at them against Costa Rica, and it's like they played extremely well, but they just couldn't finish. And that was the issue. The build-up, they were basically camping out in Costa Rica in the second half. So I mean, we may look at the US and say, okay, the US have this, but we got to look over our shoulder. We have to.
So no World Cup for you again this year?
Well, as I said, this is basically our third string team. Okay. This is our third string team. So, if we are going to get into this, I must say I'm very upset. I'm I'm very upset with certain people who just talk and defend. Okay? And I'm not being defensive. I'm speaking out. Like, for instance, I was just on the radio, and one of your executive um, technical member, he came on and speaking crap, and it have to stop. Reality is reality. Facts is facts.
Explain now, man.
Huh?
Explain.
Okay, let me explain. How could you defend the national coach of St. Vincent after this showing? How could you blame the clubs for the players after this showing? Who picked the team? And he lied. He lied. He said that the clubs send the players. Okay? It have to stop. It's annoying. Because Coach Monkery went around and picked those players and invited them. He had 80 players to choose from. So, and in the club send no players. He was in Victoria Park looking at the games. So how could you come on national radio and say these things and making people believe, as an executive member and as a technical department member?
Scumler.
Yeah.
Scumler. It's over with. The future of football is right in front of you. You understand? The host is here. You understand? The host who hosted this thing, he is the future. He's the forget about them technical people. They don't know technical people. You understand what I'm saying? He has the vision. You understand what I'm trying to say? We just have to support him, make sure that he get everything. Forget about these guys in the past. You understand what I'm trying to say? Forget about them.
Anyway. You missed it, but our player of the week. You missed our player of the week.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Me? Tell me, what did I do to reach there?
Those 2 games that you lost last week.
You're there because you spent another year with us.
Really? Me?
Yeah. Happy birthday, brother.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. You see me in 1998 Real Madrid Champion League shorts.
I hear you. Yeah, so you are player of the week. And for today's topic, what we're gonna look at, and again, as usual, I welcome the discussion and the back and forth to hear your views on what you think and how you would set it up, or how you wouldn't, or what you think about what is presented here. All right. So we're gonna look at the different types of rest defense structures depending on the system, how they are organized, and their strengths and weaknesses, the most effective ways to set up against a counter attack, the specific shape and position benefits of a strong resting defense. Exploring the opportunities for organizing a good counter pressing and rest defense structures will be divided into 3 categories: man to man, man-to-man plus one, and a zonal shape. We're not necessarily going to go into the zonal shape today. And this will be a two-part series, basically. So, how do we stop this from happening? That's the question. In your view as a coach, in your mind, what went wrong in this as an Arsenal coach? Obviously, as a Manchester, very well done. But what went wrong for Arsenal here? Your opinions? Come on, guys, what went wrong?
If you look at it, it was actually 5-3. 5-3, and nobody closing down the ball immediately. Okay, it was 5-3, and closing down the ball. Closing down the ball from there. Why are you backing up towards the goal? I mean, if you give that player 1 second to at least dribble, okay? 1 second to at least dribble past you, he have to think after his dribble, okay?
Before all that, look at the amount of people who overcome it. Why do you need all that kind of people up there? To do what? Before everything, break down.
Well, it's a corner kick, Sammy.
So,
and when you want to pick up the ball.
But why you need everybody?
So for you, Scrambler, you're saying they allowed him to dribble it for too long.
No, they allow him space with the ball.
Right. So there was no pressure.
There was. Yeah.
Sammy's saying, why did they need so many players up there?
Huh?
So it's 2 points. It's 2 points to consider, none of which are wrong. But that's what we're trying to figure out tonight when we're looking at this particular. How many players you should have up, or how do you control the counter attack? Should you apply pressure there to not allow the player to turn? How do you mark in this particular?
About how could you apply pressure when the player is not, then the defender is not late? He's thinking about defending. He's thinking about going back.
So that's the point, So we're gonna look at how we could use both of you as a means.
I'll just go back and pause it.
It can't pause. It's actually an image.
Okay.
It's not video.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example. So here, if he didn't allow him to turn and make that pass, the player's done.
But if you look, it's like he did not allow him to turn.
He did not apply the pressure. He back off. See?
Yeah, he
allowed him to turn. He allowed him to turn. Similarly, as Sammy was saying, if you had, Sammy, how much would you say? 2 players back?
At least 2.
At least 2 more players back. Then maybe they could have controlled what took place there. So that's the context in which we're going to look at it. Right?
And just before you go on from that, okay, as a player, right? If you remember them days where you used to play back home, what they always say?
Don't make it turn.
You in there half.
What? But let's go.
Exactly. The man who received the ball, you got to fall him there.
You're right. A tactical foul, that's the only thing you do.
Yeah.
But before, that's not the right thing to do. You have to have people back. Not
necessarily when you're 2-0 down already.
Well,
Well, that's
You don't trade
context
out.
again. So that's context. That's just context. But that's what we're gonna look at. So how do we set up when we have possession of the ball? So we have the ball. We are in attack. We are in attack. So how do we set up just in case we lose possession of the ball? That's the context
Tian.
we're gonna. Yes.
Tian.
Mm.
These are the things we have to look at. These are the things we got to look at. Majority of the time, and a set play like that, we put our defenders up. Okay? We put our defenders up. Okay? So, and we put our midfielders forward, back there to hold. So there isn't no defensive capability in that.
Yes, there is, and that's what we're gonna explore. We're gonna explore that. That's specifically what we're gonna explore, which is we have possession of the ball. Whether it is we have a free kick or we, as Sammy was saying, having possession in the attacking third. How do we set up still, even though we have possession? How do we set up to control the team's counter attack? And that's basically what we're looking at. Because right now, the way the game is being played is in the transition. It's how well you could transition into attack and how well you could transition into defense.
Or the Francis team that transition.
Right. Who could transition? Which either way, if you're not
Exactly.
enough to transition in defense, you're obviously in some problem. Right?
And yeah, that's a tremendous point there. So when in your team meetings now with your team, you understand? That have to be mentioned. Yeah. And I'm sure that you will go over that in practice also.
Yep. So that's basically what I want the conversation to be on.
You understand?
And to look at it, we're going to look at the phrase rest defense.
I'm sure that you will go over that.
So it's not anything new. It's not. So, but it's just a term that's basically using what I want the conversation to indicate that we are in attack, but we still have to create some level of balance so that when we lose possession of the ball, we are not countered on the opposition score. So it's having players' position in deep areas of the field when in position with the means of controlling the defensive spaces in case of the opposition counterattack. These players are placed in an optimal location where space to control the game by limiting opposition counterattack, simultaneously supporting teammates in possession for combinations and recirculation of the ball. So we are in possession, but we still have to consider when we lose the ball, are we in a good enough position to prevent the opposition's counterattack. So that's the context. So this is done by maintaining a structure in the areas behind the ball against opposition attack protection whilst the team are attacking in the final third. So similarly, as there is a rest defense, we would also recognize that there's also a resting attack. So where do we set up so that when our team wins the ball, we are able to transition quickly into using the space or exploiting the space that the team has provided to us. So it's how do we counteract those particular moments during the game. All right, so right here, what do you see we're thinking about this? Good setup, bad setup. We're thinking yellow team is going to the left. They have possession of the ball just in front of the goal. The red team is going to the right. Good setup.
Well, I like the first line, which is the two center backs there, right?
Mm-hmm.
with the blue highlight there, right?
Yep.
I think they're in perfect position right there.
Okay.
What I like to see is that, the keeper just come up a little bit more now, because the keeper is just above the 6 right now.
All right.
Could he come up more as a sweeper?
All right.
I
So
think
that what you just described is what we're referring to as the rest defense. We'll continue. Go ahead.
right. I like where, especially on the outside. If you look at the outside midfielders, to left and right, if they have to get back, there's a line for them to get back. They're on the right line to get back because they have the two defensive, the two defenders there already. So at least if you have 4 of these guys back, and you see what the defensive midfield is, a perfect situation right there, I think.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else? Your views, your opinions? You think they're in good? What else would help them here? You think, based on how they're set up? If you look at superiority in terms of numbers, they're in a good shape in terms of numbers. They have numbers up, I think, by 2. But here's the question. How does that help us in the attack?
But you have the ball now.
We have the ball. We have the ball. But now it means the opposite is happening now. Now they have the advantage in their defensive third. So it's something to consider, which is basically the balance. And what we're gonna really look at is first the commonalities between that they share in terms of the layers within the structure. So each layer has a different function and relates to how the team deals with it. So if you look, there's a line, meaning a group of defenders, and a second. So this is one way of looking at it from your team perspective, is you can layer it in how you're gonna do your resting defense, and I think Sammy likes this, and you even add in the keeper. So that would create a third line because the keeper is now a sweeper. All right, the second line, the resting defense, they organize to get immediate access to the ball when the opponent wins it. So the function of the second line that you see there is to, once the red team wins the ball, how can we get it back, or apply immediate pressure, or channel them away from the goal? So the 2 lines, so the first line is protecting the space behind along with the keeper, and the second line, their task is to apply pressure to prevent penetration. Right?
And while you mentioned that, Tiani, you have to mention the vertical lines also.
I was getting to that too.
Okay. But
you could go ahead. You could go ahead.
No, because I really believe, it's well much, as we did on the Zoom before, right? If you the outside left midfield, if he comes back straight, he comes back between the space between
the half space.
Yes. And usually, if there's a counter attack, right, the 2 defenders has to come all the way back to their position, maybe above the 18, right? And this is how I think. This is my opinion. I'm not going to squeeze up there to try to win ball up there. So these 2 guys come back all up the way, and then one by one, everybody come back to their position, which is the 2 outside guys come back. Then you see another midfielder come back below,
I don't want to lose that point you're on there right now. The point is counter-attack. If a team is going to counter-attack, where will they counter-attack? Would they have counter-attack down the middle or on the sides?
Wherever they could overload, whatever.
For me, if you watch, most teams try to counter-attack down the middle. So in terms of the lines that we're looking to protect would be those that are central. So the wide corridor, if they go down the wide corridor, I'm thinking as a team, if we push them there, we should be able to get back the numbers.
Right.
If they go down the middle, that's the shortest distance to the goal. So that for me, again, is the other aspect of where we protect. We try to protect the center of the field and channel them away from the goal into the wide areas. So that's also based on the same discussion you were having in terms of the counter attack. Now, again, the layering, it's quite important because imagine having your 5 defenders over there back in a straight line, all of them back on the 18-yard box. It's one pass and it breaks everybody.
How?
The fact of having,
How?
we say,
How? I mean, look at remember England play?
Mhm.
Kyle Walker's playing right defense.
Mhm.
And he cover all of these guys. When you have speed, especially defensively,
Mhm.
it makes up for a lot of stuff. And Kyle cover everyone. They cover the other 3 defenders. So
Yeah.
what it is, obviously communication is very important, right?
Mhm.
Communication is very important in you have to mention that also.
Well, that's key. But my point is, you many a times have said it here. So do we straight off at a point. You made a point about Kyle Walker. But you often say whenever you're defending, you do defend in a straight line. Why? They need to be staggered. Why you normally say that here? So that's my point that I was trying to make. If the 5 defenders are back flat, one penetrating pass can actually break the entire line. By layering it like how we have here, first and a second line, those who are in the first line can recognize where they need to cover and how they need to create the balance within the
Right.
team.
And that will come from you always assign someone
Mhm.
to act as a sweeper. When we had the national team and we had Ford and Connie playing as the 2 center backs. First of all, Connie had to buy into it because Connie was a natural sweeper. You understand? So if there's a challenge for the ball, Ford will always go and Connie will pull off.
Mm.
And it's known to the team, it's known, between 2 of them, who pull off and who go. You understand? So I think the understanding, from playing together, what is, practice or games, that would be established,
Yeah. All right. So the other reason for layering is the second line. If your team wants to counter press, which is press immediately, you now have a group of players or a player who dedicated to pressuring the ball immediately to prevent the team from advancing or penetrating. All right. So by layering it, you could have these type of advantages. One, the layer would mean that one pass should not beat the entire defensive line. Two, the first line gets an idea of where to protect and how to protect the spaces, as well as the keeper could recognize as well. Next, if we lose possession of the ball, the second line, their responsibility would be to apply pressure and prevent penetration or guide the team to the side, basically. So by layering it, creating these lines, even though we're attacking, it helps in the process of controlling the team's counter attack.
You're saying, right? You're saying, okay,
Mm-hmm.
when you're attacking, right, you have to make sure you have enough defensive cover at the same time.
Yeah. So the team has to be balanced, and they call a resting defense. You will have to decide on that as the coach how you want that to get set up. All right. So again, the first line is usually positioned on the halfway line and is often consists of the central defenders. The aim of this line is to provide cover for the second line. The good body orientation to either defend any direct balls that are played in behind or step forward against the vertical pass entries. The reason this line is positioned at the halfway line is a simple one. The opposition attacker cannot be offside in their own half. Therefore, the opposition striker will usually stay just in front of the halfway line. So we don't want to give them enough space to check back into their own half because it's checked. Once they check in and they receive and they play it back, then obviously we have just exposed ourselves behind for a pass in behind. Right? The defender will have to stay behind, otherwise, after a loss of possession, a direct pass to him results into a direct scoring chance. So it's similar to the example that we started with. If the player is able to turn, and with the momentum that the team has, they obviously are going to have the advantage in moving forward. Usually, players in the first line will move in relation to the second line and ensure passes are not generated within the team structure to maintain a compact shape. The more players position in this line, the more security a team has defending, obviously. So the more players you have in the first line, you should be more solid. But as was mentioned before, it would then mean on the opposite end, in the attacking third, you would have less players attacking, and they would have the advantage in terms of numbers. So as a coach, you're gonna have to decide what your setup is going to be and how you want to do it. Most counters are created using the half space. So again, just like what Sammy says, as the maximum width. So again, using the outer wings during a counter attack simply makes the distance the ball has to travel too big and therefore is less efficient, as defensive teams can collapse into defensive organization. Rest defense shape look to prioritize the center and half spaces, while the space on the wings are usually left uncovered. This is also beneficial for the structure while the team is in possession. When the team isn't able to continue playing over one of the sides, they will look to switch the point of attack to the far side through one of these players. So here's where the attacking side comes. So even though they're in a resting position, they're going to rotate. When we want to rotate the ball, is to receive it behind and then switch the point of attack. So they also have their role as well in the attack while they're still looking at the defensive structure that they're trying to maintain. So our first structure we're gonna look at now is the man-to-man. What we think about this one, Sammy? You go ever do this?
No, no, not at all. I mean, I coaching a long time at that level, right? But you have to, and everybody have to understand, you know, what you are presenting there. This is coaching at a higher level, and even most of our teams don't play counter attack. Most of our teams. So you will hardly have to encounter this. You understand? But
remember, yeah, be careful. Remember, you said it there. Most of the teams try to play the long ball when they win.
But well,
let me just say something.
Go ahead.
It's just a correction to Mr. Carrington. We love the two bar. Okay? So what is the two bar? Is it a counter attack?
well, no, listen. No.
The two bar is basically counter attacks.
No.
From wherever.
No.
If it's half
no.
a corner kick, we love the ball over the top.
That's not a counter attack, you know. You have to have the ball in your possession going forward in an organized fashion.
Tommy,
you can't get the ball. No, you talk about you know, they just get the ball.
No, a counter attack is you getting the ball up to your player and it's a quick counter.
That's quick. Okay, listen to me.
It it have nothing to do with you have the ball in your possession.
Scrambler, you have to have for you to execute a counter attack. You can dribble also. It could be combination play.
Yeah, but you still have to get the ball up to your player.
Scrambler, at the next level. Okay.
I'm talking at every level.
Okay, listen.
Every level.
Hold
You have to get the ball from your defense up to your player, and then you have a counter attack.
Okay, listen, Scrambler.
So on any level.
Okay, listen. There are probably 9 of these things, 9 principles in the attack, right? And the counter attack starts from the back, playing out to the back. You understand? Whether it's combination play, whether it's passes, whether it's long ball, all of these would have you make. You have to have a sense of control of the ball and in possession of the ball, whether it's long or short, whether it's combination play, whether it's switch play, all of these things that we mentioned before on the Zoom, in terms of width and depth and stuff, all that coming, So I'm saying most of our teams in a game situation don't play that way.
So let me confirm again. Do our teams try to hold possession of the ball? Do we try to immediately, as soon as we get the ball, try to get to the opposition goal as quickly as possible?
Yes.
Sammy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a question.
Okay, we don't know. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at Vince Heat, right?
Mm-hmm.
On how many occasions, the last, probably prior to this game, probably the second game that we lost, right? How much time they try to run with the ball? And I'm saying, where are they going with this counter attack?
That's what we are trying to tell you. That's how we play. But you're saying no, we don't play that way.
No, but I'm saying, we're gonna lose it because we can't dribble.
We're gonna lose it because the team have good resting defenders. They're in a good position to stop.
No.
They're in a good position to stop transition into attack.
No. We are poor executing their counter attack.
Why? Do we have good resting attackers? No, the numbers are down. Do they have numbers up and good resting defenders? Yes. That's why they win back the ball.
There was a game against Suriname where we tied 2-2. When we get a PK in the last couple of seconds. How did we get that PK? Of that PK?
Was a counter. A quick pass from Brad Richards and so forth, and then the ball. No, the Brad Richards was the other one. That's the one that Khan scored.
And the goalkeeper
launched it. Yeah.
To throw. And it actually become a 1v1 in the box.
And he got fouled. Right. So, yes, Sammy, in my opinion, we are more counter-attacking than anything else. But when we're looking at the man-to-man, what we're saying is we are going to set up based on the opponent. So if they leave one player back, that's how much players we're going to leave back. So that's the tactic that this particular coach is trying to use. Now, what is happening in the attacking sense is that, one, we have even numbers. So they have the same amount of numbers in their defensive third as we have the same amount. So it's an even battle there. The issue comes now, can our one defender manage this one player? And even so, if we look at the setup, the yellow team, their players are still closer to the to their half line than the Reds are. So they are saying they're able to manage this particular situation if they're able to do it. So this is one way of looking at how we could control the counter attack. So we place our players up there. So obviously now that we lose the ball, we are closer everybody. We can counter press and try to win it back immediately. We're not gonna allow them to play forward. So that's the other context that you can look at. All right. So this is in the man-to-man situation. Similarly, the man-to-man is just the same as if they had two players back. We're gonna have two players back as well. And now again to highlight, the keeper has a great role here now in terms of if the team is able to play a penetrating pass, to play a sweeper keeper role. So if the man-to-man context is how much ever players they leave back, that's how much we're gonna leave back. Here's a different scenario now. Same context, but we're leaving back a man-to-man. We don't look for numerical superiority in any particular situation. But at the same time, our yellow players are closer. The other yellow players are closer to recovery position as well as pressing position. Right? Similarly, if they have three players, you're gonna have three players as well. So that's the point. So how do we control their counter attack? Now, if we start playing short passes around that particular area, because all our players are there, if we lose possession, we are close enough to apply pressure and not allow them to play out. And it would mean, because we're playing man-to-man, we trust that our players can handle this situation. Now, as the numbers gets to 3, obviously we could have a situation where players are able to cover other players. And similarly, if you look at it again, what's more interesting is the position that the strikers have taken up. They're now occupying 3 lanes, and we're able to cover the 3 lanes, which is the yellow team, as well as still having balance with the keeper. So that's another way of looking at that particular scenario and how it could be. If you decide to go man to man, so in context of the game, you are down and you want to get back a goal and you want to go man to man, this is how you could apply that particular scenario. Questions, comments?
I just hit our last night, right? And that coach is a tremendous coach, right? What the guy name with the Afro name? You want to put it on the string?
The number 11.
You want the Afro?
Yeah, the number 11.
So,
his name is Afik.
Right. So they play 2 forwards, right? And the team has the ball. So I'm looking to see exactly what he's going to do. He ain't chasing down the ball and pressure ball or anything like that, you know. So he just got.
What we calling him now? What he name now? What is the term we using for him?
The first one that he used just now there.
The rest in attack.
Yeah, right.
We normally just say the outlet pass.
Right. So so I'm looking at this guy, right? So he on the right side, you know. Like nobody paying attention to him at all. And I'm saying, are they crazy? And they win back the ball. And surely with 2 passes, the ball get to his foot. And his pass is right there for shot on goal. This is how brilliant this guy is. You understand what I'm saying? So in a game situation sometimes, especially when you have the ball, the players themselves thinking about their responsibility and this guy because they have the ball.
Right. So that's what we're talking about now. That is exactly what we're talking about. Even though we have the ball, we have to be cognizant of protecting the spaces. Just
here's the definition of have a ball. Enjoy oneself greatly. Have a lot of fun.
True.
So that is why, again, why we struggle, because when we play out, the team already have a good balance in terms of resting defenders, and then we try to do it by ourselves, and we lose possession of the ball.
But because okay, when I'm coaching, right, and we win the ball, the first thing that you have to do is open up. Be where you should be, especially there's certain space that you have to be on the field. Whether you're playing out to the back or you're front or in the midfield, there's certain place that you have to be, and you have to be in that position quickly. And we don't open up at all. We don't open up at all.
The body shape issues.
Exactly. But all that come from, all that come from
Coaching.
Scrambler says the clubs.
no,
Coaching.
it's not a clubs, no, no. It's not clubs.
Coaching.
Everybody coach differently, Scrambler, and everybody is that one way, is that one way?
No, there's different ways. Look at the way Tian have it there. When you win the ball, what happened? It's like you gotta know if to play the ball into space or if to play it to feet.
My Scrambler.
It all depends.
Scrambler.
On the caliber of, let me land, man. Jesus Christ. You walk in the tower.
No, listen to me, man. Playing
Let me land, man.
No, I'm telling you, Scrambler. Playing at the next level. And you guys, since the Zoom start,
Sammy, you keep saying playing at the next level. Every level is the same. It's the same sport. But it comes down to coaching and identifying moments.
Okay.
The quality of the players, they just make it faster. But it's the same thing.
Scrambler.
No, it's the same thing. But just the quality of the players make it faster.
I'm glad you all mentioned the quality of the players. Because at the next level, they're quality players. They're professional, buddy. You understand what I'm saying?
No, but what he's saying, what I'm just saying, I'm agreeing with him. But I'm saying the speed is dependent on the quality. So the same recognizing the moment and the ability to execute would be faster the higher the level.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing at all.
Okay. All right.
I have this kid. He is from Japan. Okay? And in a situation like that, the ball, he is our outlet player. He is our outlet player. And he is pretty nice on the ball. Dribble and passing. Okay? So it has to do with coaching in a system whereby you recognize if this situation happens, this is what we're gonna do. It's not gonna happen all the time. So you go over several situations and make sure he is into space. That's just how it is.
Okay, you always say it's coaching, you know what I mean? Okay, our individual defending is horrible. Our individual defending, I'm not even talking about team defending. Okay? I look at one of those was it maybe this in the second round. Just the way that the defenders delay the play. And by delaying the play.
No rushing. Recognizing how much numbers you have, when to tackle.
Exactly. And these things, we see these things with Vinci. We going out there and we tackling. It doesn't matter. There's nothing like that. And of course it's coaching. You understand? But from playing with the club teams, that has to be discussed at a certain time. You understand? That is basic defending, and at the national level, we're not
And
doing these kind of things that Tian just mentioned there.
if you notice something, the way we defend, like we defend like if we hanging out on the block. Every time we defend, our heart gotta be on the ground. Okay,
And
that's not defending.
that could be corrected very easily.
That's not even delaying. So it come back to the same thing. Coaching and recognizing the moment.
So here's a question here for you now. So if we set up in a man-to-man situation like what we're saying here, why is the role of the counter press? Is counter pressing a good thing at this moment? Or is it a bad thing, or would it be something you're doing? So if that yellow player there lose the ball, what would you do? What would you encourage your players?
Where's the ball? You showing the ball?
The black dot here, you can see it?
Okay. Yeah, I think at the counter press is pretty good there. Because if you lose the ball, if you lose the ball, and you lose the ball to that red player, okay, you lose the ball to that. You lose the ball to that red player. It is numerous of path options. Okay?
You got like a one to the right there.
Yeah. He can get a little one to either the left and the right can pull wider and the player just above him can move that yellow player. And the 6 or the 8 others there, I can move into that space. Okay?
So you would counter press?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Why we have this, why we have this, right? And this is my problem with most of our team, especially the Caribbean teams. This situation right there, yellow has the ball offensively. We have to create scenarios to get the ball in the 18 there, as basketball do. You understand? You have to create a way of create scoring opportunities in this area of the field, and this is what we lack in. This is what we don't do. There's nothing organized. There's nothing draw up on the board for us to get through these areas. And these are the things that you have to do in practice over and over and over as basketball does.
So the question now is, the warden is off there, but we said we would counter press if we lose possession. But what would the role of these players who are marking currently, or who are in a resting defense position, what role will you give them in attack, or would you just tell them to just relax? So the players who are marking the opponent resting attackers, would you allow them to join into the attack as well, or they would stay where they are?
They have to join in. They must join in.
Which one would you allow to join in?
I didn't get the question, Tian.
So the resting defenders.
Yeah.
Hold on.
The resting defenders is 1, 2, 3.
Right. The four of these players.
Yeah.
Right, the 4 of these. You want them, what's their role in attack?
I will not have them joining it. because it's even numbers there.
Okay. The US first goal.
Let me finish. It's even numbers there. So if the six join in, and the 10 and the 10 and the 10,
Then it's 3v4.
exactly. So you're gonna establish numbers up.
Okay, based upon where the dot is, right?
Yeah.
But if it was on the other side now, okay,
What do you mean?
okay, I'm thinking
Hold
the
on.
first goal for the US.
Hold on, Sam. Let me try and see if I can grasp something. So you're saying if the ball is up here,
On the other side, on the left side.
this side,
Yeah.
over here? Okay,
Right.
hold on, let me just put it. So if it was here,
Yeah.
So all he has to do is get this guy's gonna come over. The first defender is gonna come over.
this one, are you talking about the 6?
No,
This one?
The defender.
the defender, the red.
This one is gonna come this way?
All we have to just get by here over there and cross the ball in. Behind.
Oh, you mean here?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So you're conforming with what Alexander was saying, which is he would not join in to the attack.
No, this guy over here, the last person this side, on the right hand side. The last player next to the touchline on the other side over there.
Yeah.
He would be moving in.
So this one over here.
Yes. And that's how the US score the first goal in the second minute.
So you're saying this player would now become a resting defender and tuck back in across it.
Oh, you go to the goal?
So you're saying he should tuck back in here?
No, he's cheating, you know.
Or he's going here?
He's going right there. Exactly.
Yeah. But if you look at the shape, right? If you look at the shape, they are the only one that is not man to man.
Yeah.
Okay? Because if you look at how the US score, the ball comes from the left, the ball was played across, potentially to the forward, but the forward could not have reached the ball. So the right back, he came in and it was an easy tap in.
So that's the way he plays. That's the way. This is why he's in there. He like to overlap.
And it's called cheating.
What mean cheating?
Because if the red left back go out a little bit more, he can get the ball liberty. And it potentially come man to man.
Scrambler. I played left back for my college.
Sammy,
listen to me.
You're being realistic.
All right, so let's go. We stick into the resting defenders. We will not get too carried away. So,
yeah,
resting defenders, we are agreeing that they are in a good position based on our attacking shape. If we lose possession, we are going to counter press because of where we are and the amount of passes that are available. Similarly, our attacking players would not join in because we want to make sure we at least create a man-to-man situation and not go a man down, which is a 3v4. So we confirm in that. All right, good.
Yep.
All right, so here's another scenario now. Man to man, one up I think this is what Sammy loves a lot, to have one player up. So he prefers to play one player down in the attacking area and make sure that he has one player up in the back. So that's the context. So the idea of the one player up is based on how much ever players that the opposition leave back. So they don't want you want a superiority of one player at all times. That's the context. Anybody else likes that particular scenario?
It is 1v2.
Yep.
Yeah.
I played that also.
So obviously it would give the team more security at the back,
Yeah,
unless the defenders really
slow.
slow or allow the player to get the ball into feet.
So, but the way I played, it like one defender is close to him, and the other one is like a little bit apart.
Protecting the space or covering.
Yeah.
All right. So similarly, man to man, if they leave two players up, the team is gonna leave three players. All right. Now, if we look at this particular situation now, would we counter press?
Boy.
Would ways to counter press?
No. No.
Why not?
And what and would you give them attacking roles?
Why
The
would
rest of the defenders, that is.
Tommy, the reason why I will not counter press because I'm already on number.
Where the ball is.
Yeah. I'm already
because you have three guys around the ball, eh?
Huh?
You
Yeah.
have three guys around the ball.
Yeah. I will not
But okay, listen. Hold on. Just in case, right? It's three guys around the ball, right?
Sorry.
Let's put
Yeah.
that. Okay. This what will happen in that situation is if, and this is really, if
you look at it, it's actually 4 between. 4. So it become like 5v3.
no, what I'm worried about, right? If the attacking player could overlap around him.
Let me explain something to you. Okay. Look how quick the ball could switch to the left side.
Okay, which is fine.
It takes one pass. It take one pass backwards and up, one pass across, and the ball switch to the left side. And with speed, you could get it.
How about a scenario just Jody? If we could get into that particular space where the red team has the advantage there. So if that particular player is able to get into that space,
It tight with the counter press.
it's tight.
The reason why it's tight, if you move that player out of there, remember right now it's 3v1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right there is 3v1. So you move that player out of there, and then you bring you move that player out of there, and the left player goes in line with the red player, and 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 then the player would the player they come into the space, where the player just move out.
Yeah. So for you guys, at least for you, you're looking to get back into a defensive shape before you start the press.
Yeah.
Because you're outnumbered there basically.
Yeah.
Similarly, what I want us to recognize with this man-to-man, the +1, is where the position the covering defender takes up. Again, he's protecting the middle. No matter how they set up, if they are staggered or if they're in the two half spaces, the +1 always try to stay centrally, which is the shortest distance to the goal, so that they could protect the space in behind.
All right, let me ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are too young to understand this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back in the 80s, everybody has to play man to man,
Mm-hmm.
right? And especially in the back, right? Sometimes your man would get away from it. Okay? Whether it's the a midfield getaway from his marker, would you able to stay with your man and somebody picking up that midfielder who's attacking in your goal? And you have to make sure that he doesn't pass you and you engage him, whether you have to delay him. Then as you get closer to the goal, you have to, make sure that you have a good play. We used to play that way, man. We used to play like man to man all over the field a long time ago in the 80s.
I mean, that's how soccer used to play back in the days. But now it's zone.
Right. But now we're talking about man to man. We're talking more or less the same thing.
They need to pay a bill, brother. All right. So the next one we're gonna look at. Is still a man up. We're still having a man up. But what if we have the plus player in front and not behind? So this particular context
Which one it is?
This one here. This one with the blue. So it's still 3v3, but instead of having the player covering, they are in front. So this is another scenario. I think who does this well would have been Barcelona and Busquets. That's the role Busquets used to have.
So I still will not counter press.
Sorry.
Because if we win the ball, okay, you have a winger on the right. Then you have a six. You have a six hole in between them three. So you have two central defenders and a six. Okay? If we win the ball, okay, it's still featured with too much risk.
Yeah.
Okay. Think of England.
Yeah.
Right? England have, it's more or less 2 sixes.
Yeah.
Right? And they don't take any chance, period.
Yeah.
So just imagine if there's another 6 there next to in line with the and they're always in line with each other. They don't take a chance to,
So you're still going man to man, but
yes.
your resting defender is not covering. They're actually in front.
Exactly.
The pressure in front.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the difference.
And what I like about it, and I wished I'm confused now. I wish I could see.
But although England play 3 defenders, they still play 2-6.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. And what's so good about it, what's so fascinating to me about it, right? And you should like it too.
Me?
Because when they're playing out of the back, right? When they swing from one side up to the other, these sixes are one of them are always available.
Yeah.
And what
I don't have a problem with that, but it doesn't
what
give,
I hate,
it doesn't
what I
give me
hate,
more attacking options.
what I hate with them is none of them. They don't try to play like a diamond now at all to the game.
It's the square pass.
Yeah, always. So I'm saying to this guy, so I'm wondering, and what's so beautiful about it, all they want to do is just get the ball to the side, to the tree, one on that side, one on the other side. Just get the ball to them. That's all they're doing. And the one-on-one situation, and with Sterling, and gets forward from the other side, And this
That,
is what I'm saying.
that was their tactic because
Right.
they decided to play high wing backs, play man to man inside, and then have the sixes protecting in front to counter press immediately after they lose possession on the ball, and then they depending on Walker's pace
Right.
to help them in the back.
So I'm saying, right? I'm looking at Vinci.
Walk and shot.
Yeah.
Walk
I'm
and
looking
shot.
at Vinci Heat, right? And I'm saying here, if I have Corny, I have Olex, and I have Kyle as the 3 guys up front. You understand? And I create that same system. And all I want to do is just get the ball wide to these guys and let them do the thing. You understand? And that is a good system for us. Because
But who will you have in the center?
listen to me. If I have the team, I will have a center midfield, trust me. But okay, try to envision this, right? The idea is with these 3 attacking players we have, and I says 4 of them anyway, and they have Zeno too, right? If you create this system, and this is, you have to know as a coach, you have the team for all these years. You will know the players that you have. And I'm saying in that scenario, okay, all Olex wants, all Connie wants, is to get the ball outside of the 18.
Yeah.
And we can't possess the ball and get the ball out into them. We can't get a system like that.
And to be honest, it takes like 1, 2, 3, 4 passes. And
right, and it's right up there. It's up there. You understand? It's right up there. So this is, and this is what these young coaches missing from this zoo. You understand? They will not have the chance. When Tian is going to go over this with them again? When? How? Because it takes us over a year before he get to this. When he start this thing, right? When Tian start this thing, okay, you put yourself in Tian position. Are you Tian is saying, boy, so you will not be there, I will not be there. Boy, I really have a good chance to get with him. Understand what I'm saying? But he has to. But when is it going to?
Right, so Scrambler, as you were saying, right, when the man to man and plus one shape, it makes it slightly harder to counter press in high areas compared to man style because obviously numbers would be basically even and you're close enough to apply that forward pressure. Therefore, it is one less player who can be used to immediately press the ball during the negative situation. On the other hand, the initial counter pressing allows also becomes less important compared to the man to man. It is less important now because you have cover, right? So you don't necessarily have to counter press to prevent the penetration. You could get back into a defensive shape because you already have a numbers up situation.
Mhm.
That's a specific scenario. Now, the player that I'm highlighting in the blue is also what I was speaking about before, which is instead of having the covering player behind, you have them in front. And I wanted to think Busquets in the time, let's say 2 or 3 years ago, where every time Yaya Toure at Barcelona, Michael Carrick, Kante, when he was the defensive midfielder at Chelsea, they used to just patrol in front of the man-to-man.
Yeah.
And as soon as the team lost the ball, they were the first player there to stop the penetration and regain possession and try to play again. So this is the scenario, the exact scenario that is possible. And as coaches, you could actually try out with your given team. So in conclusion, an increasing amount of goals are being scored through counter-attacks. The importance of the transition phase is often more recognized and appreciated. So from a defensive side, how could I control this particular situation? Teams need to organize their team structure in a way that enables them to dominate in all phases of the game. So it's not just playing in attack or just playing in defense, but it's also how do we play in the transitions on the both sides of the transition. And we have to also think about them in case of resting defense and in the case of resting attack. One of the vital parts is achieving this dominance is a well-structured resting defense. What is a resting defense? Having players positioned in the deep areas of the field when in possession. So you're in possession, but you have to set them up properly so that you could prevent the counter attack and
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In that situation, in the time free kick, in the time corner kick.
In every scenario, every attack.
Okay.
So for example, if we take a corner, how do we defend? Are we going to defend behind man to man? So if they leave up one player, are we going to leave one? Similarly, hold on. Remember we spoke about layering. So while we might have one player on the half line, we need to create a second line in front.
Yeah.
To protect that space in front as well. And then the keeper comes up to protect the other space behind. So even if it's a corner or a free kick, we have to also think about resting defenders.
What about a ball possession in their half?
Right. So even in that particular scenario, you still have to position yourself with resting defenders just in case you lose possession of the ball.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you're catering for the transition into defense. Yeah. And Barcelona, when they just started to dominate, I think that is what they were better at than everybody else.
Yeah.
Which is why they dominated. The ability to counter press immediately because they were in good resting position, and the fact that they played a lot of short passes, everybody was around the ball, so they were able to press immediately and then start again and allow the team to get counter. Similarly, if we look at Man City last year, what they didn't have was good resting defenders. Here's the reason they started to lose a lot of games, and that's how Liverpool actually penetrated them a lot of the times. Manchester United last season capitalizing on having a lot of resting attackers. Because of their pace, they were able to use the pace to counter other teams to score. Similarly, if you wanted to beat Manchester or be close to them, you had to have good resting defenders because once Rashford them pick up the ball, you're in problems because of the pace. Some things to consider. So part two.
Get out last night.
Part two, these are what we're going to look at. So man-to-man plus one in possession. The zonal and the zonal shape for the 4 defenders. 2v2, 3v2 shape. Counter pressing with the 2-3 shape. And that will be our session for next week on the resting defending. It's the end of the presentation. Thank you again for participating. I learned a lot about your styles and philosophies. It's sad that we didn't have sad that we didn't have any comment from Shadell and from Mr. Painter to hear what their conclusions are, but I had fun.
So I'm gonna ask you this again.
Yes.
What happened to your brother?
Who?
I mean, we are regulars. If yo, it's my birthday, and I'm here.
Everybody doesn't see this as entertainment.
Scamla. Could I?
Yeah, this is entertainment for us. This is fun for us. This is what we enjoy.
No,
Let me ask. No.
This to me is a learning process.
Mario is good at yes, but
could I answer it?
Also
Good night,
entertains
good
you.
night.
Could I answer it?
No,
Yes,
no.
All right, this is coming from the Zoom, right? TMA asks, what do you do for a living?